it's a billion-dollar industry. Youth sports is turned into a moneymaker in the world. So it's important to everybody, not just the high school, staff. It's important to the community. And you know, like you said, Dave, you're a coach. When you're winning, the community is winning. You know, you go to the store, everybody's happy. Everybody feels good. When you're losing and you display bad sportsmanship or the conversation of you failing off the team, you know, those things look bad. And I tell them, your parents don't want to have that conversation when they go to the grocery store, when they go to their friend's house. They don't want to have those type of conversations. So, you know, I just try to stress as an athletic director is just do your best, and that'll be enough. That'll be enough. But just don't go out there and embarrass the community or yourself. Come to school. There's a time and place for everything. So while you're here, because you have to be here, put in that 6 hours in the building and do your schoolwork. And then everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. Do the kids know that you've, you know, walked the walk, that you're not just talking? Do they know about you as being a local kid who played sports? And as you put it, I got to tell you, that's one of the most impressive stats you've got, is going from in the 700 SAT to getting a master's and achieving the position that you did. That really says a lot about, you know, like I say, it's not where you start, it's where you end up, but but the longer the path, it does say even more about somebody. So do the kids know about you as a hometown guy?
It's funny you said that. Most of the kids do. I have a mural in my room of all the newspaper articles back when I played, and a lot of kids say, "Oh, wow, that guy looks like a professional football player." And I said, "That's me." And so that's me when I played. And there's a couple pictures that's in the hallway of myself in my uniform. And I was one of those players that, you know, if you look good, you feel good, you play good. So I made sure that, as the kids would say, I made sure I looked like a creative player for the Madden game. So I always looked kind of fancy in my uniform. So they recognize me that. But there's some that don't know me. You know, their parents know me, but I don't know them until I meet their parents. But some of them don't. But one thing I do, Dave, and I don't want to sit here and say that I do everything and I have the answers to everything, but I try to implement a lot of stuff because I don't, you know, as an athletic director, there's a lot of liabilities. And people don't understand. You can get sued by a snap of your finger, just for if coaches don't understand how to teach technique. You know, in litigation, you get eaten up. So I try to cover everything. And what I do is every season I meet with all the athletes and all the coaches at the same time and basically give them the spill. And I share my story. I share my story every year. The same story I shared in Q&A and the same story that I share with you. I was not perfect in high school. And it wasn't because I wasn't smart, but it was because I bought into the hype. You know, I bought into the hype of being a good athlete. I bought into the hype of being a captain. You know, I did the minimum instead of, you know, the most. And I had the opportunity to go to, I had, 16 to 17 Division I offers. 16 to 17 Division I offers, and I couldn't accept none of them because of my SAT scores. And I share that story with them all the time. I'm not ashamed of where I've been. You know, I'm proud of where I am today. And like you said, I may not have started fast, but I ended great.
Yeah, and
I'd rather be the turtle instead of the rabbit, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it really does say so much more because, I mean, I could tell you this. I can, you know, in the day job here, I can manage a project that's perfectly staffed with the best budget and schedule without even showing up to work, to be quite honest. You know, it was going to happen anyway. But you give me a situation where, okay, we really got to figure out who we are, how we're going to do this. We're going to have to really, you know, sharpen up. We're going to have to really get engaged. And that's, you know, that describes your path and what you're trying to do for these kids. Now, you talked about how important, you know, all these discussion with the coaches and all that you have to do. So let's segue into that. You mentor coaches. You mentioned that you had a coach that got you that first substitute teacher position and mentored you. How do you deal with your coaches to get them to not just comply? Because to me, compliance is trying not to get caught versus, you know, truly buying into your vision here. How do you do that?
Well, what I do is I don't want to. I want to show people their ways and errors. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to fail. You know, I never want to force my will on anyone. But at the same time, I'm still a straight shooter. A lot of people call me the big teddy bear. You know, I stand 6'3". You know, I'm 200. You know, almost 60 pounds. So I'm a big guy. And at the same time, I allow my coaches freedom. I give them the tools to go to work, and then if they can't comply on what I need them to comply in, because again, they only see what's in front of them. They don't see what I see. You know, and I've been blessed to be in the position they're in, so I can kind of understand why they were challenged or why they were questioned. Because if I was them, I would question certain things too. But again, like I said, I like to be on the safe side and try to stay away from, because there's a lot of nasty people out there. I read an article recently about a coach or a district being sued or trying to be sued by a player that slid into third base. So the mother of that athlete tried to sue the school because I guess the player got hurt or hurt his leg when he slid into the base.
Right, I read that too.
Little things like that. So you know what I'm talking about. Like, coaches don't understand how easy it is to be caught up in some type of litigation. And, you know, I try to give them the opportunity to, you know, I put it like this. I can lead them to the water, but I can't make them drink it. But I can let them see if the water is dirty or clean.
Right.
And, you know, before I have to go in administratively, I always give them the tools. And then, like I said, I'm not shy, so I'm not the type of person that'll say, okay, well, after the 16th try, you know, I don't know what else to do from here. I know exactly what to do after the first try, you know, and I think my coaches see that and they respect, I guess, my strength, if that's what you want to call it, or my fearlessness to lead, and my reputation precedes itself just by the athlete I was when I was in school. So I do get respect from my coaching staff.
Now, I got to ask you, a guy who's 6'3", what'd you say, 240, 250?
About 260.
All right. I didn't want to go past that and get us on unfriendly terms here.
Well, people tell me I look very slim. I don't have no gut or nothing like that, so I'm put together pretty. It's all packed in there.
Excellent. Well, I was curious. So, you know, they talk about you as a big teddy bear, and I know you interview all your coaches yourself, and I love that you give them. It was an opportunity to fail, which doesn't mean, you know. I don't like people say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because that's not always true. Yeah, it doesn't.
No, it's not.
But being guided to failure the right way does. But do you have to go grizzly bear on anybody, or do you find a different way to, you know, lay down the law?
No. I it's funny you said that, and maybe I worded that wrong. My secretary says nothing bothers you. Why don't you get upset? I make mistakes all the time, and I tell her, listen, it's only a mistake when you put it out in the universe. You know, we all make mistakes because we're human. But if I make a mistake and I take care of it before anybody else can get wind of it, then it's not a mistake. And like I said, I try to tell my coaches, today's society, people like to point the finger. You know, I'm not that type of person. I'm not a finger pointer. I like to just fix the problem. Let's just fix it. My secretary, like I said a few minutes ago, she gets so worried. You know, the anxiety jumps on her. And I tell her, listen, you make a mistake, don't worry about it. It's really a fix. You know, if we miss a payment or a PO or whatever the case may be, guess what? We missed it. Just pay it. But if you call and do all this stuff around and get frantic, that's when somebody's gonna say something to you. So I don't go grizzly because that's not my nature. But I am direct.
And I think there's a difference. Strength doesn't have to include rage and force.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big misconception. And I do what I'm doing now here because of what I've seen in the workplace. And I've seen too many people who think that strength comes through volume and hand waving and ultimatums. Yet those are the same people that actually are afraid to put someone in a position to fail because it takes work, like you say, to get in there and say, well, one, it takes a lot of work over a lot of time to keep yourself calm in the face of failure of those who are, you know, working for you. And but that's the key. And I think this might be another good way to segue into the use of social media because it is a pretty good, you know, bully pulpit right now. And I know people do get worried about using social media, whether it's work or schools or anything else, because of how they're worried about what people are going to say. So let's get into that a little bit, like with your coaches and how you do it. What is it about social media that, what are the risks, but why is it worth dealing with them to get some benefits?
Well, social media today is the world. It's information. It's how our kids learn. It's fun. It's interactive. And it's, like you said, it's dangerous. But again, social media is it's a necessity to the world today. And I tell my coaches, they'll all always monitor their athletes' social media. Don't follow kids. When we use group chat, we use like things like Remind 101. I use the WhatsApp. We don't email kids individually. Even myself, I have a group with just the coaches seasonally. And what we do is, and that's how we pass information. So even with captains, if you have captains, make sure that you always contact all the captains at the same time, you know. But when it comes to bullying, you know, we have to take things like that seriously. And we address that right away. That goes right to the principal's office. And it gets investigated. It doesn't matter if it's a Sunday, Saturday, kids are held accountable because the severity of this social media bullying and things like that is out of control right now. And we have to make sure that we keep our kids safe with all the school shootings and you know, just the way kids interact with each other nowadays. And like I said earlier in the show, the microwave age, you know, there's no interaction. And this is how kids interact with each other today.
Yeah. So, and the non-physical damage, the direct, you know, that can come out of these, you know, fights and other, you know, the violence that can come from it. There's tremendous damage from, the mental abuse, the mental health abuse that comes from it. So let me ask this now, because you came up with a way to have